How's it going, guys? Matt here, talking to you from Ningbo, China, south of Shanghai by a few hours on fast train. I don't know when you might be watching this, but we are right around the time that this pandemic, COVID-19, is kind of rampaging through the world. China is on sort of the other side of this thing, sort of. Schools are trying to open. I know some stories from different schools that kids are trying to go to school right now, and even Eva has been called to go to school, maybe in a couple of weeks, and we're very nervous. Eva is my half and half Chinese American daughter, and she is 3.5 going on 4. And actually, our school is right across the street. This is our school right there. That's the track for it. And it's one of the reasons why we're here. This is my apartment, our apartment. And we moved here recently before the virus kind of crept up its ugly head. And we came here thinking it was very convenient to go to school across the way. It's kind of on the other side of town. This is my apartment complex. These are all the lower buildings, and then these are the taller buildings here. I'm in one of those buildings where we're up high. Up high has its benefits. There was actually a huge fire on the other side, way out here. I saw it start. I saw the embers. Although embers from this distance could have been raging. I saw fire trucks pulling across the main highway across and heading to the fire site, and I had set up my deepest lens that I could get to get the deepest look, and man, some of these flames were licking up. It must have been 10 stories high. It was a really raging fire. Never did find out what was burning, but just an interesting thing to see as I ponder off my balcony. Today was a beautiful day. You could see way off into the mountains. As a matter of fact, there's a lake called Dongqian Lake that is over these mountains. That's kind of nestled within this cul-de-sac of mountains, and it was just a glorious, clear, wonderful day, beyond the fact that we have this crazy virus that's rampaging around the globe. Yeah, the kids are trying to go back to school. I think that each school here is trying to figure out how to do it. Ningbo, in general, has been pretty unscathed with this thing. If you follow me, you know that as the virus was starting to take root in China and starting to just spread across the country, I took my family, we all came to the United States, and we were kind of like thinking we'll stay in the United States while China figures this thing out. The pandemic did spread, and it came to the United States, and we all know how the United States is faring right now. If not, if you're watching this way in the future, right now things are quite crazy. The stats are still climbing in America, and it's a scary situation over there. And we caught whiff of it getting out of control just as we were hearing that things were really under control here in Ningbo. Ningbo has done really well with regards to controls. They have a really active management system with regards to contact tracing. As a matter of fact, if you go to a Starbucks or go to an apartment or go to a school or go to a mall, you have to scan a code on the spot that gives you a green, yellow, or red. Green is you're clear, you apparently don't have any symptoms. Yellow is maybe you have been near somebody or somebody's trying to contact trace you to somebody that might have had it, and then red is you're in danger of having COVID-19. So if you go into a place, you scan your phone, they take your temperature. If your code is green, you walk in. If you have a temperature, obviously somebody's called. And with that code, they can contact trace everybody that's been around you. So, for example, if you go to Starbucks, buy a coffee, you're green, but then you leave and get a fever later, they can actually, they'll change your code, and then they'll find anybody that has entered their code around you at the same time. And it's a really novel way, interesting way to find people who might have interacted with you, who might have either given it to you or have gotten it from you if you do have it. And in doing so, they're able to limit the amount of time that somebody that might be symptomatic, obviously this thing can pass asymptomatically, But they can kind of, at least when the symptoms come up, they can say, okay, let's lock down everybody that this guy has been in touch with and everybody they have been in touch with, and maybe even deeper and deeper. It's quite a aggressive system, but it's been working, especially here in Ningbo. Not all China has been unscathed. As a matter of fact, there are reports that Guangzhou has a resurgence of cases. But each province has a little bit of a different take on how to manage this thing, and so far, Zhejiang, in Ningbo in particular, this city has done really well. So I have a niece and nephew, and they are going to school now. They are back in school, and so I've been sort of learning about different things. Schools are trying their best to restart. They have apparently classrooms set up in each school that is like a quarantine classroom, so that if somebody does get a fever, they go to this classroom. And I mean, schools are really, really hard. Schools, prisons, military complexes, you know, aircraft carriers, you know, these sorts of places where people are like forced to not social distance. You know, they can't necessarily practice social distance. Those are difficult areas. As a matter of fact, I heard of a story, not this school that my daughter might be going to, but another one where a kid got a fever. Then the whole class was locked down, and he turns out that it was just a cold. But had he gotten COVID-19, all those kids would be locked down, and all those kids' parents and all the people that interacted with those kids' parents, it would have been an instant community lockdown. And so it's very hairy. So for those of you that are, you know, have kids that are of high school, elementary school, middle school age, maybe not elementary school, those will stay closed longer, but if you do have kids, China is kind of ahead of most other countries because they got it first, and so they're going through some pains in reestablishing normal life that other countries might be feeling too soon, or hopefully soon, because hopefully you guys are managing this thing well. I don't know. I know America's looking to reopen things, so that sort of scares me. But if people do go to, it made me think a lot about everywhere. If you're an area, like I'm in a city that has had no cases in like a month and a half. Ningbo has been clean for a long time, and they have a pretty robust medical system. I've had surgeries here. China is not the podunk place a lot of people think about when they think about China. And I've had my shoulder was shattered in a car accident. I was on my bicycle. I was run over by a truck. That's an interesting story. On my world cycle tour, which is paused right now. I should be cycling around the world right now, but a lot of people should be doing a lot of other things, so I have nothing to complain about. But I have been in surgery here in China, and in particular here in Ningbo, and it's quite well. The health system here is quite well. So if I did get COVID-19, or somebody did, they'd be taken care of pretty well, especially seeing as though the numbers are so low. That's why you want the numbers so low, so that you can manage an outbreak if it does happen. So you get the numbers really low with intensive contact tracing, and then as soon as you have the numbers really low, you know, and everybody is social distancing enough, then you start to open a little bit here, open a little bit there. And Ningbo is a great example of a community that has been clean for a very long time, and so they have been opening things up pretty aggressively. By the time you can open schools up, you've got to have a pretty confident system, because if one person gets it in that class, like I said, the entire classroom, their parents, and their parents' tertiary contacts will have to be assessed and possibly quarantined. So it's a big deal. Anyways, I'm trying to figure out with Annie if we let Eva go to school. But you know, it's one thing, like this story I heard. A kid got sick. The whole class was sent to the hospital in a bus that was like a quarantine bus, so that they could get tested and watched and made sure nobody had COVID-19. These kids were like high school age. But it's totally different when you got kids like that are 3, 4, 5. Eva, my daughter's 3.5. And the thought of her, just think about that from a kid that age. Kid starts coughing, maybe has a fever in class, don't know what it is. Everybody's sort of nervous. Then the teacher has to very calmly, because I guess they're running drills. I know a lot of my friends are teachers, you know, so a lot of people are running drills on what happens if somebody gets sick, what are they going to do? And so they'll get all the kids onto a bus that's sort of quarantined, drive to a hotel, or a hospital, sorry, and then get everybody tested, and then they're not released until everybody's clear. That's got to be a traumatic thing for a kid under 6, you know, or maybe even under 10, you know. So I don't know. Annie and I have been discussing, even if it's okay for Eva to go to class, should we let her? Because it's just a little too risky. Even though there's no cases in Ningbo, all it takes is one, and as long as we're here in our apartment, we're pretty confident. But if we're out and about, who knows? Another thing that happened, this video is going to come out in a couple of days, but another thing that happened is my friend trades on stocks and stuff like that, and he called me up and he said, check this out, oil. Now, I don't know what's going to be when you guys watch this video, because it's really changing daily, but you'll hear this in a couple of days. But oil, the value of oil. So I don't really, geez, I wish I followed stocks. I wish so many people right now are going to capitalize on such a tragic event. Annie has a lot of clients all over the world. She's an agent. She helps people procure stuff in China. She helps people ship and logistics. It's what she does for some major clients in South America. And so she had gotten a chance to, well, first of all, we wanted to send some masks to our family in the USA because they were running low. So we sent my sister and some different people in my family and some friends in Japan a bunch of masks. KN95. KN95 is like N95, only the Chinese version of the N95 mask. And a bunch of different masks. We bought like 10,000 of them, and we sent them to friends, like just here. And my sister and different people are medical professionals, and they passed them on to people that were in need, and donated them donated our stuff to hospitals for their use. And so now our masks are being worn by people who probably wouldn't have them or were falling very short of them. And so the other thing that's happening, so we did this thing. Annie found this factory kind of out of the goodness of our heart, but she's also getting contacted by clients all over the world saying, hey, can we get some masks? Because we need to supply them, and we can sell them. And it's such a weird dichotomy. Do you want to get masks? Do you want to be in this business? In one end, it's helping people. In another end, you're profiting off of other people's misery. And Annie and I have both had a really tough time doing this. We're trying to like say the least amount of profit. How do you make? I mean, you don't want to make money on the backs of strife, you know. So it's a really difficult conundrum. We have the sources, we have some of the wherewithal to ship masks, and so do we? And if we do, I don't know, there's this weird thing that people are angry at China for trying to get masks in their time of need from wherever they could. And now that they're fulfilling orders and trying to send goods out, they're being labeled as, cheats or thieves or scoundrels or different things. And there's a lot of stories here. There's a lot of stories. The scoundrels make up a really small percentage of the people that are doing this, and it's the good people are getting lumped in with potentially bad stories. So anyways, we're trying to figure that how that's going to work. But I did get a call from a friend of mine who is doing business here in Ningbo and has connections to a high quality mask factory with all the certifications. That's the other thing, that China now, because a couple of people were shipping masks out that weren't the highest quality, now the world's like, China's sending shit masks. So in response, China's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You need 1 million certifications in order to send these masks. You need to be like on the ball quality in order to send any masks. So you can't even send medium quality masks. You can't send high quality masks even without the certification. So now there's a restriction on masks sending out from China, and everybody's yelling at them again. Now China's not sending out enough masks. It's like they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. We're sending out all the masks we can. Well, some of the masks are bad. All right, well, we're going to restrict the masks until they have proper certification. You're not sending out enough masks. The world needs masks. It's a crazy situation. All the while, other countries are trying to do similar things, like cutting supplies off and hoarding masks federally, hoarding masks from states. And there's all sorts of craziness going on in all directions. It's just an odd time. Anyways, so I might be going into a mask clean room, which should be interesting. My friend in the United States called me up and he's like, hey, can you go into a clean room? You'd be the only one allowed to go into this clean room with a camera on our behalf, because he's selling masks and he wants somebody to go in and do a video. And so I said, okay, I'll go. So I think he's going to call me in a little while and we're going to set it up. And I'm going to go and investigate a clean room in Ningbo that's making masks, high quality masks. Anyways, people are really, really taking this situation and making a lot of money on it. The stock market, I mean, if you think about the $2 trillion stimulus plan, the fact that every American got $1,200, or most Americans got $1,200, but there's still like $5,000, $4,500 that America, the high-ups are spreading out to big business and stuff, so the stock market is fluctuating. Then oil hit this like negative. Apparently, if you don't understand it, every gas station, every tanker, every strategic reserve, so like America's strategic reserve of oil is now overflowing. Everything is overflowing, and oil is still coming up out of the ground. And that oil coming up out of the ground now is less than worthless. They're literally, they have to pay people to take it off their hands. This is like a crazy situation. My friend called me the other day and he says this has never happened since 1940, and that was when it was around like $15 a barrel. But now it's negative. So I don't know if this has ever happened in all of history, had this situation with oil being so low that it's negative. It kind of makes me funny because Donald Trump praised his leveling off of America's national stockpile, and he paid about $30 a barrel. And I think he bought a few million barrels. If he would have waited, he could have gotten paid to top off his national stockpile of oil. Side story, our national stockpile of emergency PPE is wearing thin, but we have enough oil. It's like one of those post-apocalyptic stories, like, what if we can't put food on the table, what the hell is that overflowing wallet worth, if you can't get food, But anyways, little rant. The fact is that I don't know anything about the stock market. I don't know anything about investing. And I feel like I'm at this, we're at a weird crossroads, We're at a point where a lot of people are making a lot of money buying on the down, investing at the low. People on my Facebook are like, buy, buy, buy. I posted this oil thing and they're like, buy, buy, buyer's market, Where do you buy? How do you buy? Am I able to? I got an American bank account. I got a little bit of money in it. Do I put it in places? Where do I put it? One of my other friends, he's Polish, he lives here. He's like, Matt, you don't want to put your money in anything if you're not a seasoned investor and researched and educated in doing these things. But I'm also of the mind of, what if I miss it? What if I try to educate myself, and by the time I learn how to invest my money, the opportunities were best missed, that were best are now missed. And then of course you have that whole, you're investing in a time of strife, and how does that make you look? Although, I don't know, so many people are probably making multiples and multiples and multiples with 0,000 of multiples that I would be. But I just feel like maybe I could put my money in something at a down, but I don't know if I can do that online. I'm sure that actually me even opening my mouth about this will get inundated with people giving me advice and telling me what I should do and what I shouldn't do, and I'm probably just shooting myself in the foot even putting this out here. I'm just as a thing I've been thinking about. What a crazy time. I don't think we've ever had a time like this where it's been such a buyer's market for 9/11 maybe. These times of war. Well, war, I guess things bump up, right? But things depress down in like things like 9/11 or the Great Depression or these kind of things. I've never been in the market, and that's kind of the good thing, right? Because I didn't lose on the way down, but now at the potential, and how much farther down will it go? There's all these crazy questions, and how thoroughly will the markets rebound when this kind of all comes out in the wash? Will it rebound? Are we in store for a Great Depression, the likes of which we've never seen? My friend predicted. He says, I think that being that oil is so far down, economies are going to be forced to push themselves to start, like a push start. So should I be ready for that push start, and can I get ready quick enough? And if I do, I used to live on a yacht in the Caribbean. I was first mate. I cleaned the engines. It was a beautiful boat. It was a privately owned boat by a guy named Alvin Wagner, richest guy in my community in Michigan. And he would take the yacht to different places. One of the places he went was Atlantis Casino and Resort in the Bahamas, in Nassau. If you guys don't know Atlantis Casino and Resort, I wish I was vlogging back then. Because that would have been an amazing episode. Tell you a little story. I could tell this story so far back. I was like Gilligan, so I swabbed the deck and cleaned this boat, and let's see where we're at. We're at 22 minutes. So I cleaned this boat, but I was fit. I was a good-looking guy. I had hair on my head, no beard. I was first mate on this big boat. And the owner was like 99 years old. He's passed away long ago. But this boat was like $30 million, $30 million yacht. And he had it parked at Atlantis Casino and Resort. And I was swabbing the deck, and I looked across, and there was a yacht across the way, and this girl was sunbathing on the back. She was beautiful. And she... Oh, fireworks. And she looked at me, and I was just a lowly worker. I looked at her, and we had a little bit of a romance, and we had a fling. And we talked across boats. I'm cleaning the boat. When are you finished? Well, let's go. And then we ended up hanging out in the jacuzzi, and we made love in the jacuzzi, and it was funny because I was young. I was like 17, 18, and she was rich. She was the daughter of I think like the Life Cycle Fortune. They made like exercise equipment for all the exercise gyms in the United States. This guy was a multi-millionaire, and she was the granddaughter. And so we went around jacuzzis, and we were just hanging out in jacuzzis and partying, and we ran through the casino. We went into the boardroom of one of these casinos, and I remember we broke into this boardroom, and it was one of these long boardroom tables, and they had finished the housekeeping or whatever, haven't cleaned up yet. So there was like, little baskets of fruit and little mini snacks that were eaten, and there was, the screen at the end and the podium where the guy was talking about like stock prices or some sort of, prospectus or timeshares or some shit. And we locked the door, and I was nervous and crazy, but she was confident and just had this kind of like wealthy air about her, like I can do whatever I want. And man, she made a man out of me again on the boardroom table in the boardroom of a hotel way in the back in the conference room areas. Very, very funny. I'll never forget her. She was an interesting story. Another sideline to that story: sex on the beach is not what it's made up to be. It is very uncomfortable. Anyways, one thing you get from the Jayoe Nation, I won't hold back. I'll tell you stories as they come into my mind. Anyways, when I was at the casino, it started a long line of me going to a casino with a couple of $100 in my pocket, a couple of $100, and then losing it. I'd get up $20 or $30, and then I would just go. Like, go. So I've never been excited about gambling. The idea of gambling scares me. And stocks kind of they kind of remind me of gambling. I have lost a lot of money, but I've always gambled it on myself. And when you put money in the machine takes it. When you put money in yourself, invest in yourself, even if you lose it, you still got yourself. And you still have this. And you've learned, like every loss I've ever had. Some people out there have created these rumors that I'm some sort of like loser who's lost all his money. I've done pretty well for myself. And I've traveled, I've quit it all so that I could travel around the world, because this is what I really want to do, and I'm trying to make YouTube and life of travel kind of monetized in a way that I can sustain myself on the road. But I still have money left over from my business that I let go of before I started this thing, traveling around the world on a trike from China to the United States. But anyways, I'm always losing when I gamble on something other than myself. It ended up paying off for myself, but I sure lost a lot before it paid off. But gambling always never worked. But there's also the idea of a sure thing. I have made some bets in the past and invested in some things that I've been pretty confident on. And I'm thinking that the situation today is such that you're probably never going to get as good as it is right now, or upcoming soon. And sheesh. The opportunity to make some money might be there, but there's so many, like, how do you do it? Should you do it? Is it morally right to do it? And I think if you're not hurting anybody, it's okay, but also you don't want to hurt yourself by doing something stupid. I don't know. Or do I just close my eyes, close my ears? That was the other thing I kind of wanted to do these days. I am really getting stressed out with this whole situation, watching what's going on back home, and I've been waffling between saying, do I even want to continue, do I just want to focus on myself, just don't talk to anybody, don't do anything, don't even make videos about this virus, don't make videos about anything. But I do feel like I have a voice that has something to say. But anyways, what do you guys think? You think I should find something? Is there an easy way I just go online and throw some bucks at something and let her go? I don't even know how to do that. My friend gave me a whole bunch of books to read. If you want to invest, he said, you got to read these books. Instead, I've been watching stupid news. Maybe I should stop watching the news and start educating myself on how I can build on this craziness that's going on right now, because there certainly are a lot of people that are, and I don't know. Do you want to be on that train? Anyways, guys, take it easy. I just thought I'd rant while I'm sitting out here on the balcony. It's a waste, because when Annie and Eva leave me alone here, it's very rare that I get a chance to just you and me, guys, just you and me. So we'll just call this our Jayoe rant. But yeah. Any questions, comments, anything, let me know. Please fill up my comment section. Share this if you'd like. But yeah, drop me a like if you'd like. If you'd like and like. If you'd like to like, please like. Bye, guys.